My roommate is a vampire. Chapter 18. Cool mares don't look at explosions. Flurries of snow began to drift down from the heavens, the sky abysmally gray and gloomy. Yet the snow was white, pure and clean. A new leaf was turned over, and so began the transition of the seasons from fall to winter. A merry time approached, filled with tidings and joy, a grand galloping gala, and a hearth-warming eve. Outside, the world was freezing, chilled to the bone. On the inside, things were getting hot. Beads of sweat rolled down my furry body as I clenched the sheets, tearing into them with my claws. Vina was panting, working her magic.
Oh, Vinyl, yes, yes!
My cries grew louder and louder. Vinyl grunted, hard at work.
Right there! Don't you dare stop!
I felt all my troubles melt away, my body falling limp.
That was the best massage I've ever had,
I breathed.
I've got something for you.
For me? I gasped, rolling over. It's not even my birthday. She rolled her eyes, dashing off into another room and coming back with several items in her magical grip.
I figured since winter's on its way... Oh, Vinyl, you shouldn't have!
I squealed, touched, hugging her.
Don't thank me yet.
I caught the first articles of clothing.
A hoodie. How wonderful,
I said flatly.
Put 'em on first.
I reluctantly poked my head through the black coat, grumbling. Hoodies were so juvenile. Vinyl pulled the hood over my head unexpectedly.
My mane!
I cried.
Relax. See?
I look like a hoodlum.
No, you look like a no-pony. That's the point.
I pretended to understand.
And with these... God, not your shades! I wear them for a reason, Octi.
They were a pair of aviator shades, large, with reflective lenses and subdued frames. They were certainly stylish, if I were a Pegasus. With the entire ensemble complete, I looked like, well, Vinyl on most nights.
Look inside the collar.
There was a small tab insert in the front of the jacket. I bit down, pulling it up.
A mask? Because nothing says subtle like a mask.
I mumbled, my words muffled by the thing in my face.
They're for emergencies, when you gotta bail out. This way, no pony can see your face,
Lionel reasoned, pleased with herself.
Or you could wear something else if you don't like it.
I like it, I blurted.
I like it a lot. It's very thoughtful of you. Celestia knows how many ponies are after you and I.
I trotted over to my closet, pulling out my favorite black woolen pea coat and purple scarf. I completed the look with her sunglasses, trotting around in a circle to show off.
How do I look?
I asked, tilting my shades down.
Very inconspicuous.
Vinyl clapped her hooves in approval.
If you're going to be disguising yourself, you gotta learn how to change accents.
Accent? I have no accent.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
I can hear you right now, and you have an extremely obvious Canterlot accent. The second some pony hears you, they'll know who you are.
Well, you hardly sound like a Ponyville pony either. You sound more Manhattanite. I huffed. And whatever happened to that snooty Canterlot accent? I thought they were hereditary. She giggled.
You do know that my folks fake their accents, right?
I gasped.
No way!
Yes way.
It'll be a scandal.
Shh. She cleared her throat.
Say it with me. Tomato.
Tomato.
No, you're saying it all fancy. To-may-to. Tomato.
I snapped.
No, you keep doing that thing.
What thing? Vinyl growled.
That thing where you, I don't know, make your voice all posh. You keep saying it like tomato.
She grabbed my cheeks, forcing me to squish the words out of my mouth.
Tomato.
Tomato, I mumbled. She slapped me.
As I'm sure you're all aware, 2 nights ago there was an explosion on the top floor of Equestria Daily.
Luna declared, trotting around slowly, letting her words sink in for dramatic emphasis. Caused by a gas leak. Some members of the inner circle tittered, snickering and snorting.
Something that happens when I try to bake muffins.
Derpy, seriously, how the hell did you get in here? Vinyl asked.
Through the door, silly.
Derpy giggled. Vinyl pointed for her to leave. She crashed through the door. At least she used the door this time. Luna sighed. Of course, you and I know that this is not the case. Jeez, I knew Vinyl Scratch had a short fuse. At least the bomb was smaller. Yeah, she didn't level the entire building this time. That's supposed to be an improvement. It could have been worse. How could it have been worse? It could have been like last time. Oh yeah, that was pretty bad. Vinyl snapped her jaws, extending her fangs. They fell silent immediately, cowering from her show of dominance. It probably had something to do with hierarchy. Even the vampires had their own food chain. She tilted her purple shades down, winking at me. Indeed, Luna clucked her tongue. Regardless, I am postponing any meetings until further notice. Before any pony could protest, she held her hoof up to silence them. This is not because of Vinyl's recent actions, though they may have potentially compromised this group. While her actions may have been reckless, judging by the pony on the third floor to the window on the left with a pair of binoculars, I'm assuming that they are not birdwatching. Silence. I felt a chill run down my spine. Fleur squeezed Fancy Pants a little tighter. When every pony slowly started to shift to see, she snapped. Do not turn to look! We are being watched. I will conclude this meeting in 10 seconds. You will all shuffle out of here and be on your way. We all nodded sullenly. Lest you all forget, it seems that we are at war. No pony wanted to stick around for obvious reasons. The lichens darted off into the bushes, about as subtle as Vinyl Scratch. The vampires slunk off into the alleys and shadows. As for said mare, she was on her way to work. That left me, all by my lonesome, to trot on home. Even as I took my regular path back to our apartment, I felt uneasy. I was being watched. Turning around would reveal only an empty street. I could smell some pony. I could hear their hoofsteps. I just couldn't pinpoint where they were. I dashed up the stairs as fast as I could. There was a note on our apartment door with a picture of Vinyl Scratch crossed out with red ink. Presumably blood. There was a message scrawled at the bottom. Miss Silverstreak sends her regards. At my hooves, there was a copy of the latest edition of Canterlot Today, with a picture of Equestria Daily after it had been bombed. Oh, fuck me! It seemed that tonight, Vinyl Scratch was the star of the show, and she was in trouble. Club Canterlot. In my head, my brain was already working out a plan. It was an improvement to having no plan at all. I'd sneak in quietly and warn Vinyl, and hopefully get as many ponies out as I could. A Pegasus wing extended with lightning speed. Hey, back of the line! I swiped the offending appendage away from my face. I'm a friend of the DJ. I don't see your name on the VIP list, the bouncer drawled. I don't have time for this. I ducked into the crowd, slinking through, trying to focus on the stage that seemed so far away with the pounding beats. There was no point in screaming Vinyl's name. I doubt she could hear me over the music in the crowd. There were several deafening explosions, all in quick succession. Had they already been setting off the bombs? Ponies around me screamed and panicked, scrambling towards the exit. I forced my way against them, pushing and shoving, trying to get closer to Vinyl. Almost there. Octavia, duck! I hit the ground, moving faster than I thought I could. Several objects whizzed overhead, slicing through the air and shattering against the opposite wall with terrifying accuracy and speed. Vinyl was hurdling her records with her magic. It seemed that the club had cleared out in less than minutes, leaving only me, Vinyl, and several other uninvited guests with silver coats. At least no pony got hurt. Good job, Octavia. Always on the bright side of things.
Vinyl! Don't worry, they're Sapphire Shores.
I was going to warn you about the armed cultists' intent on murdering us all, but alrighty then. I sprinted, ducking as I felt more objects slam into the dance floor beneath my hooves, rolling over the bar and taking cover. A few seconds later, following some more loud pops, Vinyl slid into cover next to me.
You're alright?
Just great, I muttered. Vinyl, they've rigged the place to blow. I screamed as a volley of fire slammed into the wall opposite of us, leaving vicious holes. It probably wasn't a good idea to be hit with those things.
Ah! Looks like they've got guns!
Vinyl hollered.
They've got what?
I shouted.
Griffin arms, Vinyl said. Flintlocks. The kind you gotta have claws to use. You point and shoot, and they go bang.
Tell me again how you know these things, I shouted over the gunfire. She ignored me.
Looks like they've got 'em loaded with silver bullets. Great. Just great.
We can run now. Hide in the streets. There has to be an exit. Bundle's records had kept them at bay only for a second or two. And sure enough, just a few seconds into the next song, we had some partners on the dance floor. Now they were back, unicorns and Pegasi and earth ponies, with their manes and coats dyed silver, armed to the teeth with weighted horseshoes and guns.
Ready to die, vampires. The wolf's mine. I'll cut off your bucking heads! All of you!
I gawked, absolutely mortified at the words coming out of her mouth. She rolled her eyes.
I'm not really going to cut off their heads, Octavia. We just gotta make them think we will.
Somehow it seemed counterproductive to act like monsters when the very thing we were trying to do was dispel that sort of image. I sighed in relief.
Maybe. Vinyl, relax, will you? Stay here. I'll go talk to them.
She paused.
Actually, I'm going to go kill them.
Excuse me. No, wait, don't hurt them.
Are you kidding me?
And there she goes. From the safety of the bar, I watched her fight, moving faster than ever. She was using her gift of speed, along with strength, to wreak havoc on the Silver Horseshoe's forces. She was grinning. She loved this. The heat of the battle, the smell of the blood. I watched with a mixture of morbid fascination and horror as Vinyl screamed at the top of her lungs of threats to desecrate their bodies and profane battle cries. As for me, well...
Come on, go out there! Are you insane? Let me out. I want to play.
I would have been incredibly disturbed by the whiny voice asking to essentially come out and cause physical harm if it weren't for the exhausting circumstances. I roared, unleashing my bestial form, lunging and tackling the first pony I saw to the ground. I felt stronger, faster, braver, a little stupider, if that was even a word.
About time you cut loose.
Even when fighting, Vinyl had her own sense of style and flair. She was unpredictable, dancing and stumbling around, losing her balance frequently. She somersaulted through the air and pulled fancy kicks and flips. I, on the other hoof, decided against being flashy, resorting to basically ramming my hooves into their heads, smashing beer bottles into their heads, or slamming their heads into the closest thing I could find, i.e., a table, my face, the ground. We were doing quite a number. They were already making their retreat, helping their comrades to their hooves and dragging them out for reinforcements to come.
Time to go,
Vinyl called.
I couldn't agree more. Vinyl, what are you doing?
I hollered.
We gotta grab one of them. This'll all be for nothing if we don't get some answers.
Vinyl dragged along an unconscious cultist. Here, put him on my back. I shoved myself through the doors, trying to hobble as far away as I could.
What are you running for? That's not cool. You have to trot away from explosions.
Club Canterlot is about to be blown into smithereens and you're concerned about how cool you look? I screeched, struggling to drag the unconscious stallion along with me, grabbing his mane in my teeth. The explosion ripped through the night, magnificent and fiery. Vinyl trotted slowly, almost in a casual manner, as debris rained down on us.
Luna says we can use whatever methods to interrogate him.
Really?
No. Actually, we're not supposed to lay a hoof on him,
Vinyl pouted.
And she's having some pony come over to arrest him and process him later.
But he doesn't know that. I stated. Good cop, bad cop? I suggested.
First off, that never works. It's gotta be bad cop, bad cop. Except instead of cops, we're emotionally unstable, psychopathic, lesbian, supernatural demons with homicidal tendencies and a pendant for cold-blooded torture. Lionel laughed evilly.
I know, that sounds absolutely horrendous.
I know, it's going to be so awesome.
You scare me. I had no idea how interrogations worked. I figured they were like job interviews, except instead of your manager, you had a pony with no sense of morals or ethics or a conscience. And instead of a nice, air-conditioned office, you were in some dank closet with a single light bulb strapped to a cold chair. Do you have a job, or do you still live in your mother's basement? I had a feeling this pony did. What's your name? I asked calmly. No answer.
Okay, since you're not answering, I dub thee dirtbag.
Final snapped.
I know, that's not very nice. I'm not nice. And you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
You wouldn't like her when she's angry, I added.
So maybe you should tell me what you know about Silver Streak, Final hissed, and your little club.
You should, I added again. Final rolled her eyes.
You don't scare me, he spat. What will it take for you to tell us where Silver Streak is? For all of you to die. Will you answer us if we make out? What? Final! No! The colt sputtered.
Final turned to me.
Let's do it. I know, what the hell are you doing? Just roll with it.
We kissed. And, indeed, we both made it a very passionate, sloppy, messy affair, with plenty of tongue action and saliva. I pulled away, feeling a little violated.
Was that completely necessary? Nah, I just wanted to do it.
Final was getting fed up. She lunged, starting to choke him.
You like air? I do too! And I'm wasting it trying to get answers out of you!
She shouted, shaking him around as he turned blue.
Lionel, no!
I shoved her off of him. Out!
Excuse me, good sir. Will you please tell me where your base of operations is? I asked in the sweetest voice.
No!
Pretty pleased with the cherry on top?
No! I'll never tell.
Sprinkles?
What do you think the answer is?
I slammed the door shut with a hoof.
How'd it go?
He didn't talk.
What technique did you try?
Asking nicely.
You want to stay a Colt?
Snip, snip.
Lionel, put those hedge trimmers away right now. You said we can't kill him. I mean, her, once we're finished with him. Can we use the kitchen scissors? No. What about the new bread knife we just got for our kitchen set? I heard serrated edges are really good for cutting,
Final said gleefully, putting as much emphasis as she could on the last word.
Maybe the paring knife.
That's too small. Oh, what about a butter knife?
You can't cut with those.
Who said?
I think he passed out.
Wake him up again.
I dunked a bucket of ice-cold water over his head.
Hey, what's soaking wet and clueless?
Final snatched the bucket from me and slammed it over his head with a thunk.
Your face!
He groaned.
You thirsty?
No, not really.
Good, because I'm dying for a drink, Final hissed, and I see one right in front of me.
She hasn't had a taste of blood in ages, I added. She'd just love to sink her teeth into you.
Then you and I could be vampires together, Final grinned.
No, please! Then again, I started. I've been having cravings lately. I haven't eaten anything in a while, and I've been dying to try pony.
You wouldn't! I'll drain him of blood first, Lionel cackled, pausing.
Wait, if I bite him first, and then turn him into a vampire, and then you bite him, what would he be? He'd still be a vampire, missing a chunk of his leg. I rolled my eyes. No, I think he'd be some sort of, hybrid. Whoa, seriously?
That's so cool,
I gushed. See, you should have turned me into a vampire.
So you could be a vampire Lycan.
I don't want to be a freak, he wailed.
Oh, Vinyl, dearie, could I see that knife? I tested the edge against my hoof, sighing. He was uncooperative, unwilling to make any bargains or compromises. This was going to hurt. I pressed the blade into my leg, feeling it cut into my flesh. I gasped in delight as if I were enjoying it, feeling the blood start to run. I wanted to get him thinking, if she's going to do that to herself, what will she do to me? I dangled my hoof over his head, trying to look soulless as I dripped my blood onto his face. He squirmed, screaming. Vinyl's lips quivered at the sight.
Mind if I had a drink?
She giggled hysterically. Vinyl leaned in, lapping away and sucking at the cut. You're freaks! All of you! You're all freaks! He screamed, thrashing in his chair.
Tell us what you know!
Never! Vinyl began licking my blood off his face, relishing each and every drop. He hyperventilated, faster and faster as her fangs neared his throat, whimpering. Vinyl opened wide, baring her fangs.
Okay!
He squealed.
I'll tell you, don't bite me, please! I don't want to be a lifeless husk! Help me, bye!
Vinyl shut the door behind us. I think he wet himself. I'll get a mop. Ugh, I need a band-aid, I murmured, sucking at my cut. You still taste delicious, Vinyl purred in my ear.